So continuing on with the Prelude tier list, I did the first 14 in my previous video, that's up there. Let's go on to the next 13. And just a reminder, I'm going alphabetically, but I'm doing the Prelude 1, the Prelude 1 and promo Preludes first, and then I'll do the Prelude 2 with the promos that came with that. So it's gonna be the first 40 Preludes alphabetically, and then the next 25, is it 29 alphabetically. And yeah, quickly go over the tiers. You can check if you want a little longer, slightly longer description, the first video. But yeah, game breaking and the best preludes in the game, always good, always solid. Like, just preludes are very good, but not as good as game breaking. High synergy, these are like the ones that, like, with the right cards alongside it, can be a lot stronger than these or even these, but they need those cards. Mid are just the mid preludes, self-explanatory. Mediocre preludes I rarely play, very few scenarios. They're preludes, I'm gonna say what the specific things they need to be played. And unusable, society support and such, spoiler alert. But anyway, continuing on with Experimental Forest. This is one of my favorite plant preludes, but I'm still gonna go on high synergy. I'm gonna go high synergy just below Acquire Space Agency, because I think, again, that the space strategy is a bit more generic than the plant strategy. But a plant tag and drawing 2 plant tags is amazing. Obviously, the greenery is also very good. You get to pick resources, which can be more plants to place more greeneries. But the fact that you get a plant tag and you might draw 2 more plant tags that may enable things like NRA if they have no requirements, that's great. And the fact that you're getting just synergy with the plant strategy, which you needed. And especially when you add a bunch of expansions and plant tags become a lot more rare, this is really needed. Like, it just gets stronger, right? So Experimental Forest, it's my favorite plant prelude, and I still have to put it in high synergy because I think, like, going plants early, everyone can go plants late, but plants early is a very specific strategy. Like, you're usually going to be rushing the game, so I have to put it there. Okay, next up, Galilean Mining. I used to love this prelude. I'm a little lower on it now. I'm gonna go mid, but I'm gonna go above Biosphere Support. They're kind of similar if you think about it. I do like the Jovian tag. That can be a point in the future, but the 2 titanium production is also really good. It's 6 production, but the fact that it's like less flexible, and you still get hit for -5, like, compared to Business Empire. Like, I mean, this is pretty. This is why there's, like, 2 tiers between them, because you gain the same amount of production, you only pay 1 cash less, but it's so much more, like, targeted towards space, and space is not the best one early, right? So a lot of your production is on resources that you might not start using a lot until the 3rd or 4th generation. So that's why it has to go here. It's still, like, getting 6 production to start with is always strong, so that's why I don't put it any lower. And actually play these, like, I like going to space, so I play this a lot more often than everything else you see in mid, but that's, I gotta be honest about where it goes. And I also really like going Jovian, right? So, okay, great Aquifer, and this is always solid. I'm gonna put it on the top of always solid, and it's borderline game breaking. I think the nerfing of the oceans in the expansion maps kind of hurt this prelude, but if you're playing solely on Tharsis, it's definitely here. It might be even stronger. You're almost guaranteed to get the 2 cards and 2 titanium back, which is already great value, and it's 2 production, 2 victory points, right? So great Aquifer, always solid. There's no reason to not play this prelude. Again, this is what this tier sort of is. You don't have to rush to play this prelude. Unlike with, like, other Terraforming preludes, you really don't have to be rushing to play this prelude. It gives you good production, and you pick up the best resources from the ocean spots. Okay, then Head Start. Okay, this is a kind of a confusing one, and I've never liked it. So I'm gonna put it in very few scenarios. So the way this works is you get 2 steel, and then you get 2 cash for every card in hand. And that would include cards from your other prelude. If you play Violet before it, you should play it first on the before the other one. So it can actually include more cards. And then you immediately take two actions. And that's sort of the theme of the Prelude. Like, you have all this cash to play cards, extra cards that you kept. I just have to say, like, I don't usually find myself keeping a lot more than 7 cards. And so, if it's 7, the value of the Prelude is 18 with a 4 steel, which is low. And playing the actions earlier, honestly, it's not that important. Like, there are a few scenarios where it matters, of course. Like, if you want to play, for example, say you have Arctic Algae and your other prelude is Great Aquifer, so you can actually get to play Arctic Algae before your Great Aquifer. But like, nothing that you're like, if your opponent plays first, his preludes go first anyway. So it's only things like that. It's just basically getting ahead of your preludes or of your opponent's first turn. So that's like the use cases where taking the immediate 2 actions matter are very niche. Also, if you go first, I guess, and you're playing Arctic Algae again, and then your opponent has Great Aquifer, which you wouldn't know, but it's still nice to play it first. Then yeah, that you get to play a card before your opponent plays a prelude. But again, I think those are rare, and the cashback is not enough because I mean, if you're keeping 10 cards, this is great. You're getting 24 back, and if you're keeping 10 cards and you're playing Biolab 2, great, or one of these two, then that's great. You're getting a lot of cashback, which is nice, and it's fully flexible cash. I should know things like Inventrix that draw cards, that those are your first action, so that's after your prelude, so those don't count. But overall, I think you're getting a mediocre amount of cash, and the 2 actions are usually not going to be that useful. So that's why it goes in very few scenarios. I did put it ahead of Biofuels because it's a bit more flexible. Like, you're at least getting cash, right? So if you see nothing else in your hand and you get, keep 6 cards and you get 16 cash instead of 21 from donation, it's 5 less, but it's not terrible. Whereas something like Biofuels is like, okay, whatever, now I have 2 productions I'm never going to use. Moving on to one of the strongest preludes in the game, Huge Asteroid. And I'm gonna put it always solid. I do like it less than Great Aquifer. And Huge Asteroid is great for rushing. It's pretty good for engine because it's still 3 production, right? It does take 5 from you, so like, never as efficient in production as like a Business Empire, but it's okay. And unless someone plays Head Start on you and some other stuff, it's gonna hit the first like heat production bonus on the temperature track. So it basically comes with a heat production, except in very rare scenarios where like multiple players play heat preludes, or but yeah, for the most part, it's gonna have that heat production with it. But yeah, like, these 2 are my 2 favorite Terraforming preludes, and they're super strong. I don't have them as game breaking because I don't know, maybe I just like engine more. Like, I can see these being misused more than these 2, I guess. Like, I do see people play these and then go for an engine game and not really use anything related to the 3 temperature until much later in the game. Whereas these 2, like, they're never bad, I think. But anyway, moving on. Let's do Research Outpost. Now, this is another prelude that I used to play a lot, but unlike Galilean Mining, I do think this one's terrible now. You're just really paying so much for these 2 tags, and I rarely play it. Like, I played it a lot, and I rarely play it now. I do love those 2 tags. If you see my tag video up there, you'll notice that I rank these 2 tags the highest, because in my strategy they're worth the most, but you're only getting a 3 production and 3 very unflexible production and 1 card. 1 card is usually not gonna do enough. So yeah, I don't know. It's just, you're paying so much for these 2 tags. It's not worth it. So yeah, I have it in very few scenarios, but they're actually I mean, it's just a little better than the unusable ones. I could put it down here. I guess the scenario I'll mention is essentials in your hand, then yeah, sure, kill yourself for a science deck. Fair enough. But it is like one of the weakest values out of all the preludes. Okay, next one, loan. And we're gonna hit the unusable. I just don't think it's ever worth it. I mean, the first thing you might think is, okay, these, like, you're never gonna go 15 generations. It's worth. It's not, because if you go 10, which is normal, then you get a net value of 10 out of these, which is half of any prelude. If like, donation is so much better than this, because like, by the fifth generation is already better. And then this keeps hitting you like so much, and it's just, I hate negative production early in the game. I just think loan is a way to shoot yourself in the foot. There's I think Marcel's an expert. The comparison he made is like playing what is it called? Sponsors. Sponsors plus loan is the same as donation, which sure. And then he like correctly points out that, yeah, but you need to have sponsors in your hand, right? So like, you can, and even then it's just equal. Like, if you don't have sponsors in your hand, then it's just worse, right? So yeah, I don't know. I've never played this prelude. I hate negative production. I guess with something like full blowout, if you're desperate, you might want to use it if you're really poor, but otherwise, just not worth it. You want to trade cash for production, not production for cash early in the game, right? That's pretty intuitive. Okay, Martian Industries. Now this one I rarely play, but it's not bad. It's just like, it doesn't have a theme. Like, it gives you a single energy, which I always find dangerous unless you have like an immediate way to use it, and you go first before you get tapped, right? Otherwise, I don't like being on one energy because the benefit is not much, and the risk is that you may be giving your opponent a very cheap energy and losing basically half the value in your prelude. The steel is good, it's not gonna do anything. The soul tag is good, and the 6 cash, like, it doesn't have anything that's gonna do anything. It could have a lot of things that help you in very little ways. I think my Viron video, is it Viron? One of my videos actually uses this prelude. On the DreamHack videos, I think one of them uses this prelude because weirdly it just worked, but it's really, like, it's mediocre. If you think of the value is like 7, 7, and 6, it's 20, so it's very specific and slightly below average value, and I guess the tag too. So yeah, I don't know. I rarely think, oh, this is exactly the prelude I need. It's just like, if my other two are like in these two tiers, yeah, okay, I'll do Martian Industries, right? So that's why it's there. Next up, Merger. And I really like this one. I've actually gotten to play this a few times because every time I get on I get it on tabletop, I play it. I'm gonna put it, I don't know, maybe because I think it's super fun, I'm gonna put it a little higher. But yeah, corporations are strong. Now it's a corporation, so basically you're gonna pay 42. So for this to have the average value of a prelude, it would have to, the average value of a corporation should be 63, which I think could be the case. It's hard to say, but like, some like Terractor and Credicore are definitely worth more than that. Like, Terractor is worth 60, one Earth Tech, you're at 63, right? So the combination of the cash plus the effect plus a tag is definitely worth it. Now, the thing is, Terractor is one of the strongest corporations, so like, if you're comparing it to something like Tharsis, which gives you, 42 cash. No, Tharsis is 40, sorry. But yeah, around there. Is that effect from Tharsis worth 21 cash from you from early? Maybe? I don't know. It's hard to say. So it obviously depends on the corporations you're drawing, but Yeah, I don't know. I think merger is. I'm gonna put it always solid because I you usually draw a good one, right? But yeah, it's like it's worked for me like all the times I play it, but I can see a scenario where maybe I should move it to high synergy. I don't know, but I always go for it because it's lots of fun. Okay, moving on to Metal Rich Asteroid. Another of my favorite terraforming preludes. It's not as high as these two. I'm gonna put it behind Donation and my favorite prelude for UNMI. But it is always solid because you're getting, temperature, which is a production, and it's a point, and then you get lots of metals, which is cash. Like the value in cash of these is 20, right? Um, Now it's less flexible, but it's still 20, and the temperature, so in value, it's really high. Um, it's just, it's not as flexible, but I think it's really good. Um, I do play it often, and anytime you have like a space or a steel tech that you have in hand, it's probably one of the best ones to play. There's one better one, but we'll get to that. Um, but I do really like it. And yeah, I don't have a lot more to say about it. It is always solid, right? Okay, next up, Metals Company, and this is the other that I think is game breaking. Um, it's just like it's six production, and it's less flexible than Business Empire, but you don't get heat. You don't have the tag, but um, but like the thing is, because you're getting one of each in this case, I think it's flexible enough. Because like unlike Galilean Mining, if you're not getting the space tax, then it works for nothing. In this one, you might not be getting space tax, but then you're probably getting building tax, and you have one cash, right? So you're always gonna be finding one of them, and you're not gonna be overflowing in only one resource. So I've never like found this not to be flexible, and the fact that it gives you the highest production or tied for the highest production with Galilean Mining and Business Empire, but it doesn't penalize you. That's good. And like again, comparing to Galilean Mining, like you get the same titanium production, and one cash plus steel is better than the other titanium production, and so to only like that's better, and you don't get heat. So that Jovian tag really it's not enough to like contract the rest of what this card is doing. So yeah, I love Metals Company. It's again, Allied Bank is more flexible, and that's why I have it higher. But this one's flexible enough. So these two are really close, but they are definitely the two best engine preludes. Okay, mining operation. I'm gonna put this in mid as well, but I do like it better than Galilean Mining. So here are the reasons. First, steel is more useful early in the game. Um, and second, it gives you cash right away. Besides the two production, of course, it's less production because two of these is, but the fact that it's giving you four steel and this one is -5, that you're usually gonna find a way to use that. And the steel tag, although I like the Jovian tag better in the long run, the steel tag is useful at first because of things like build, right? So I mean, it's another very focused. Like these two to me are very comparable, but I do like mining operations a little better, just because I get to use that effect a lot sooner in the game than Galilean Mining. I find myself with Galilean Mining to like be like just holding space, titanium for maybe 3 generations until I can finally use it. And finally for today we're gonna go with Mohole Excavation. And I do think this is mediocre. Yeah, I'm gonna put it right there. In between early settlement and eccentric sponsor, this is one that like the value is fine. Like you could say 2 heat is worth 12, the 2 heat production and the steel production 7, so 19, and then you get 2 heat, which is around a little more than 2 cash, so 21-ish. Probably a little higher in value, honestly, but it's just like I don't know. 2 heat by itself may not be useful. It's one temperature every 4 steps. The 2 heat resources on their own, like, and the one steel production, like, again, this combination of things prelude like Martian Industries, so like you might run into the scenario where you need all of it. but more likely than not, it's just like you're gonna prefer mining operations or Mohole, which we're gonna do first in my next video. So that's not bad in value, but it is like I don't know. It's one of those preludes. I may have not have played this ever. Same with Biofuels, which is like maybe I played them once, and then Martian Industries. They're just I could take this off the deck, honestly. Except maybe you need there's not that many heat preludes, but like these are the kind of preludes that are like not very creative, and that's sort of why like when we get to Prelude 2 we'll talk about it, but they got very creative with some of them, and of course having expansions allows you to do that. But this one is like, well we've done a steel one and we've done a heat one, let's do one that's both. I mean, anyway. Okay, that's it for today. I'll do the last 13 preludes of the basin of the prelude expansion and the promos in the next video. And yeah, see you next time.